These are the 7 steps of wealth. The first step is financial dependence. Now, this is where one is not able to cater for themselves. A good example is kids. Kids are still going to school at this stage, so they need support from their parents because they cannot work, because of course they are young, they don't have the expertise to work, so they depend on the parents or guardians for financial help. Okay, another thing, also parents can fall under financial dependence. Now, unfortunately in Africa, we don't plan for retirements. Now, you can find that parents, they raise us, the kids, but they raise kids, then they rely on the kids as a pension scheme. That is not advisable because, first of all, the kids will also have their families who will depend on them. So they'll have a lot of pressure to perform, of course, to serve the parents and to also provide for their families. Now, the parents that depend on the kids for financial support also fall in this category, pamoja na au watoto wenye wanaenda shule. Now, the second step is financial solvency. This is when one is generating enough income to stay afloat. Let's say, for example, one earns 20,000 shillings. Then they spend roughly, the expenses come to maybe 17,000 shillings. Now they have 3,000 to try to plan for the next 31 days how they can live off that 3,000 shillings. Okay? Now, the third stage is financial stability. This is when one has an emergency fund with low interest loans. Now, you have an emergency fund set aside for maybe 6 to 12 months. The higher the better. The higher the number, like 11 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9, 11, 12 months, the better. So this person has calculated their monthly expenses and multiplied that by 6. Maybe the monthly expense is 30,000 shillings. Now this person has around 180,000 set up somewhere, but he or she is also having some low interest loans in their portfolio. Okay. The fourth stage is financial security. This is when one has passive income. Maybe the person has shares from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Maybe he has is getting rental income. Or maybe the person is employed and he or she opened up another business, a side hustle, then employed people to run the business. Well, the person is employed, focusing on the core business that is bringing more revenue to them, income to them. Okay. Another step is financial independence. Now, this one is when one has passive income that exceeds the expenses. Now, this is when, for example, yes, you earn maybe 100K, then your expenses come to like 40 or maybe let's say 60,000. Now you have a Louis for 40,000 shillings. You can do anything you want. Maybe we can say this is a middle income person. That sort of thing. Yeah. Middle income fall under this category, category 5, financial independence. You can afford comfort. Okay. The 6th stage is financial freedom. This is when one can afford luxury. You can buy a Rolex watch. You can eat in 5-star hotels. You can buy the latest phones, and you don't feel the pressure. Money is there. You can enjoy life, do whatever you want, whenever you want, because money equals to convenience. Okay, the last stage is financial legacy. This is when wealth exceeds personal wants. Now, these are the millionaires, multimillionaires, the billionaires, multi-billionaires. They have everything set up. Now, the only thing they are looking for is legacy. How they can leave generational wealth. How they can maybe sponsor charities. Okay, direct some of their assets to the charity. Support the needy people. Maybe sponsor a cousin. Set up some businesses for people who are less privileged. Now, these are the 7 steps of wealth. Now you can figure out where you are and try to loop to the next stage. Maybe if you're in the financial independence, of course, maybe you can be bounded because the person is a kid, you cannot work, but eventually they will reach a time when they will come of age. Maybe they reach the age of 18. Now they can face the real world and work hard to make their parents proud. All the other stakeholders in their lives, they can make them proud. If you are in financial solvency, you can work hard to come to financial stability. If you're in stability, you can work hard to come to financial security. Or if you are in security, you can work hard to come to financial independence. Or if you are in financial independence, you can work hard to come to freedom and legacy. We all desire to live financially stable lives. Now, when we plan to live a financially secure life, we should also focus on, of course, we are focusing on wealth creation. But most of the time we don't focus on securing our wealth. Why should you work so hard to forego all these processes to come maybe here, financial security, or here, maybe you can be in financial stability. Then you have not secured your assets. You know, we have wealth creation and we have wealth security. Now, for you to be in order to have a peace of mind, you should protect the assets you have worked so hard to attain by diversifying your portfolio. Every investment vehicle has its own risk. Even a money market fund has a risk, but the risk is low. Land has risk. Bank has risk. Now, us as the investors, we need to diversify our portfolio. Put some small portion of your assets somewhere, your small money somewhere. Don't put everything in one basket, because right now the markets were down originally. We don't know how or what the future holds, of course, because of the tariffs in the USA. They're affecting every market. Now let's assume you have maybe a portfolio, maybe you have 100,000. You have bought shares with all that money. You don't have an emergency fund. You should have an emergency fund set up first before you can think of opening, maybe buying stocks. Stocks are not bad, but history suggests otherwise, that it can become volatile. Now, think about where you are, and maybe let's educate each other to grow as a person.